Now, on a bit more of a serious note, we were trying to determine how you'd describe your brand of humor. How would you describe it?
Funny.
Picture this. It's 1970, and two men from completely different worlds walk into a smoky Vancouver topless bar. One's a draft dodger fleeing the Vietnam War. The other's a former musician running an improv comedy show between burlesque acts. They meet, they improvise, and suddenly they're the voice of a generation. Cheech and Chong, the kings of stoner comedy. But what if I told you their story is stranger than any of their films? From a chance encounter that sparked a cultural revolution to a partnership riddled with tension, their journey is full of twists you never saw coming. And the secrets they've kept hidden, they're about to be revealed. So get ready, because this is a story that will leave you amazed. You think you know Cheech and Chong, the hazy duo who turned stoner comedy into a cultural phenomenon with their quick wit and cult classic films. But what if the real story behind their rise is stranger than any of their on-screen antics? Behind the bong hits and punchlines lies a tale of chance encounters, clashing egos, and a partnership that was anything but predictable. Today, we're peeling back the curtain on how two unlikely souls created comedy magic and why their bond was more complicated than anyone realized. Stick around, because the truth might just leave you stunned. Picture this. It's the late 1960s, and the world is a mess. The Vietnam War is raging, and young men across America are facing a draft that could send them to a conflict many don't believe in. Richard Cheech Marin, a Chicano kid from South Los Angeles, isn't thinking about comedy or fame. Born to a police officer father, he's studying English at California State University, Northridge, dreaming of a career in law, chasing the American dream. But everything changes one night when he smokes his first joint with his college roommates and hears Muhammad Ali speak at a campus event. Suddenly, the world looks different. What else have they been lying about? He later recalls thinking, as the haze of that moment shifts of perspective. With the draft looming, Cheech makes a bold choice. He flees to Canada, leaving behind everything familiar. First, he lands in Calgary, Alberta, where a skiing accident leaves him holed up for months, listening to the Supremes' Love Child on repeat, a record that, unbeknownst to him, includes a song co-written by his future partner. Eventually, he moves to Vancouver, scraping by with odd jobs like driving trucks and unloading carpets, all while tinkering with pottery. Little did he know, destiny was waiting in a place he'd never expect. Across town, Tommy Chong is carving out his own unconventional path. Born in Edmonton to a Chinese father and a Scottish-Irish mother, Tommy's no stranger to standing out. By the late 1960s, he's already tasted fame as a guitarist for Bobby Taylor and the Vancouvers, a Motown sign band with a hit single, Does Your Mama Know About Me?, co-written by Chong himself. He even played a role in getting the Jackson 5 signed to Motown, a story he proudly shares. But by 1970, Tommy's left the music scene behind and is running the Shanghai Junk, a topless bar in Vancouver's Chinatown owned by his family. This isn't your average strip club, though. Tommy's got a vision. He blends burlesque with performance art, turning the club into a stage for his improv group, City Works, which performs comedy skits between dancers' routines. It's a wild mix, drawing a crowd that's as eclectic as the city itself. Could this gritty, unconventional space really be the birthplace of a comedy legend? The answer's coming, and it's wilder than you think. One night in 1970, Cheech, desperate for cash, walks into the Shanghai Junk looking for any job to keep him afloat. He's not aiming to be a comedian. He just needs to pay rent. Tommy, always on the hunt for fresh talent, spots something in Cheech. Maybe it's his sharp energy or his natural charisma, but Tommy invites him to join City Works as a replacement for their straight man. At first, it's just another gig for Cheech, but then something extraordinary happens. During a show, the two start riffing, bouncing off each other's energy in a way that feels electric. Out of nowhere, they stumble into a bit about a guy looking for his friend Dave, only to be met with the now iconic line, "Dave's not here." It's completely unscripted, born from a moment of pure improvisation, but the audience erupts in laughter. That night, Cheech and Chong realize they got something special. What started as a fluke becomes a spark that lights their comedy fire. That accidental routine changes everything. Cheech and Chong decide to leave the Shanghai jump behind and hit the road as a duo, calling themselves simply Cheech and Chong. Their act is unlike anything else, bold, irreverent, and perfectly in tune with the counterculture spirit of the era. Tommy plays a laid-back hippie, perpetually lost in a cloud of smoke, while Cheech is a fast-talking, quick-witted counterpart, their personas meshing like two sides of the same coin. Their reputation grows fast, and soon they're recording albums that capture their unique humor. Their self-titled debut in 1971, featuring sketches like Waiting for Dave and Trippin' Court, sets the stage. Their 1972 follow-up, Big Bamboo, climbs to number 2 on the Billboard 200 and earns a Grammy nomination. In 1973, Los Cochinos takes home the Grammy for Best Comedy Album, with hits like Basketball Jones resonating with fans. By 1978, their first film, Up in Smoke, becomes a cultural juggernaut, grossing over $44 million on a shoestring budget and spawning sequels like Cheech and Chong's next movie and Nice Dreams. They're not just comedians, they're a movement, giving voice to a generation that feels misunderstood. But how did two guys who seem so in sync create such magic from such an unlikely start? Behind the laughter, though, things aren't as seamless as they appear. In his memoir, Cheech is not my real name, but don't call me Chong, Cheech reveals a truth that surprises even their biggest fans. He and Tommy were never best friends. They were more like brothers, capable of fierce arguments, but also deep loyalty. We could love and hate with equal intensity, Cheech writes, comparing their dynamic to a pearl formed from irritation, beautiful, but born from friction. Their arguments could be explosive, yet they'd step on stage and perform flawlessly, their chemistry masking the tension. As their fame soared, so did the strain. Tommy's growing desire to control their creative direction, wanting to be the star director, as Cheech puts it, starts to chip away at their partnership. A pivotal moment comes when Tommy opts out recording Born in East L.A., a project Cheech turns into a solo hit, marking a turning point in their story. In a 2020 interview, Tommy admitted the split hurt him deeply, but acknowledged his ego played a role, a rare moment of reflection from the laid-back comedian. Their ability to create comedy gold despite personal clashes is what makes their story so compelling. In a recent documentary, Cheech and Chong's Last Movie, 2024, Tommy recalls a moment from his music days when he boldly claimed he'd be bigger than Jimi Hendrix. Meeting Cheech made that prophecy click. Together, they became larger than life, but the cracks in their partnership were already forming, even in those early days. What happened when the spotlight faded? The laughter that filled theaters during Cheech and Chong's golden years told only half the story. Beneath the haze of their stoner comedy empire, Richard, Cheech Marin, and Tommy Chong were locked in a tug-of-war that was as intense as their on-stage chemistry. In Cheech's memoir, he paints their bond as something akin to brothers, capable of fierce loyalty one moment and fiery arguments the next. We could love and hate with equal intensity, he wrote, comparing their dynamic to a pearl born from irritation, a beautiful creation forged through friction. That tension, while sparking their iconic humor, was also quietly tearing them apart. What really drove a wedge between these two comedy legends? The answer lies in a struggle for control that would change their story forever. As their fame skyrocketed in the early 1980s, the cracks in their partnership began to show. By the time they were filming Nice Dreams in 1981, Cheech felt increasingly pushed to the sidelines. Tommy, with a growing hunger for creative dominance, wanted to call all the shots, writing, directing, and steering their vision. Of their 6 major films from 1978 to 1984, including Up in Smoke and Cheech and Chong's next movie, both shared writing credits, but Tommy took the director's chair for 4. For Cheech, this wasn't just a minor imbalance. It was a very touchy thing, as he later put it, a sign that his contributions were being overshadowed. In a raw moment captured in the 2024 documentary Cheech and Chong's Last Movie, Tommy bluntly told Cheech he hadn't earned the title of director. Cheech fired back, insisting, "I directed just as much as you did." For fans, hearing their heroes bicker over credit was a shock, revealing a partnership far more complex than the carefree bromance on screen. The breaking point came in 1985, after their final album, Get Out of My Room. Cheech, eager to explore new creative horizons, poured his heart into a project called Born in East L.A., a song and film inspired by his Chicano roots and a satirical take on immigration issues. He asked Tommy to join him, hoping to blend their talents once more. But Tommy refused, uninterested in the project, and that decision marked the end of their 17-year run as a comedy duo. Cheech forged ahead alone, turning Born in East L.A. into a 1987 film that grossed over $17 million on a modest budget and earned praise for its sharp social commentary. In a 2017 CBS News interview, Cheech called the experience a turning point, saying it kicked off the rest of my life. But beneath the success was a deep wound, the realization that the partnership he'd built from a Vancouver strip club was over. How could two people who created such magic together let it slip away? Years later, Tommy looked back with a rare moment of clarity. In a 2020 Guardian interview, he admitted his ego had spiraled out of control, confessing he'd become a megalomaniac who believed his word was law on set. "Your word's God," he said, reflecting on the trap of unchecked ambition. It was a candid admission, but it came too late to mend the rift. Over the years, Cheech and Tommy reunited for tours and projects, including their 2008 Light Up America tour, but the old tensions lingered. In a 2017 Talks at Google interview, Cheech admitted that even their reunions carried animosity, a reminder that healing a decades-old wound takes more than shared laughter. Their ability to perform despite personal clashes was a testament to their professionalism, but it also hinted at the emotional toll of their fractured bond. Yet, Cheech and Chong were never just stoner comedians. After their split, both men reinvented themselves in ways that surprised even their biggest fans. Cheech, with his distinctive raspy voice, found a new home in voice acting. He brought life to Banzai, the cunning hyena in Disney's The Lion King, a role that reached audiences far beyond their counterculture fan base. He also voiced Ramon, the stylish lowrider in Pixar's Cars franchise, and Stumpin' Ferngully, the last rainforest, sharing the screen with Robin Williams. Tommy, meanwhile, carved out his own niche in animation, playing a satirical version of himself in the South Park episode Cherokee Hair Tampons, a cheeky nod to his cannabis persona that showcases self-aware humor. These roles proved their versatility, showing they could thrive in family-friendly and irreverent spaces alike. Their talents extended to unexpected arenas. In March 2010, Cheech and Chong stepped into the world of professional wrestling, guest hosting WWE Raw, to promote their Get It Legal tour. In a hilarious segment, they detected marijuana in wrestler Santino Marella's herbal tea, blending their signature humor with the over-the-top drama of the wrestling ring. It was a moment that captured their ability to adapt, bringing their unique energy to a completely different stage. But their impact went deeper than entertainment. Tommy's 2006 documentary Tommy Chong chronicled his 2003 arrest for selling glass pipes and bongs online, a case many viewed as a politically motivated attack on his counterculture image. The film, which premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival, exposed the injustices of the war on drugs, revealing a thoughtful side of Tommy that contrasted with his laid-back persona. Cheech, too, used his platform for advocacy, often weaving social commentary into his work, particularly on issues affecting the Latino community. Cheech and Chong's story is one of resilience and reinvention. They weren't just the kings of stoner comedy. They were artists who navigated the highs and lows of fame, creative clashes, and personal growth. Their ability to transcend their iconic personas and explore new frontiers, whether in animation, wrestling, or activism, speaks to their enduring talent. But what did their individual journeys look like after the spotlight faded? The haze of laughter that defined Cheech and Chong's golden era only tells part of their story. Beyond the sold-out shows and cult classic films, Richard, Cheech Marin, and Tommy Chong carved a path through the unpredictable waves of fame, their partnership a blend of brilliance and tension. After exploring their creative clashes and remarkable reinventions in Part 2, we now uncover the hidden gems of their legacy. Stories so wild they could rival their own scripts. From brushes with horror icons to real-life props turned cinematic legends, their journey is a testament to their knack for turning chaos into gold. Stick around. because the surprises we're about to reveal will leave you speechless. And the final twist might just redefine how you see these comedy pioneers. Imagine Cheech and Chong stumbling into a horror movie. Not their usual stoner flick, but face off with Jason Voorhees, the machete-wielding terror of Friday the 13th. In 1986, director Tom McLaughlin, fresh off revitalizing the franchise with Jason Lives, pitched a bold idea to producer Frank Mancuso Jr., a crossover where the duo would either run a secret weed farm in the woods or play bumbling camp counselors caught in Jason's deadly path. Picture the scene. Two laid-back stoners, joints in hand, accidentally outwitting a slasher. The project never came to fruition, but the mere thought of it proves their cultural footprint was big enough to spark such a wild concept. How close did we come to seeing this epic clash? Closer than you might think. Then there's the story behind one of their most iconic gags, the MUF DVR license plate from Up in Smoke. That cheeky detail, etched into stoner comedy history, wasn't dreamed up by a Hollywood prop team. It belonged to a real Los Angeles police officer whose vanity plate took a strange journey from an American Motors Gremlin to a sleek T-top Corvette and finally to a customized VW Bug, where it stayed until 1986. The officer, likely no fan of their cannabis-fueled humor, unknowingly gifted them a piece of cinematic gold. The plates still exist, a quirky relic of a time when reality and their on-screen world collided. Isn't it wild how a cop's car became a symbol of counterculture rebellion? Now, let's talk about Jack Nicholson, a legend whose larger-than-life presence met its match at an early screening of Up in Smoke. Fresh from a car accident that left him with a dislocated shoulder, Nicholson was under strict orders not to laugh. The pain would be too much. But when the film rolled, he couldn't hold back. Every punchline drew groans and grunts, a mix of agony and uncontrollable laughter. Producer Lou Adler later said Nicholson's reactions were a litmus test. If a joke could make a man in pain laugh, it was a keeper. And here's a kicker. That beat-up VW Beetle Tommy Chong drives in the movie? It was Nicholson's own car, a personal touch that added authenticity to their hazy adventure. Their creative process was just as unconventional as their stories. Take Nice Dreams, their 1981 film. The script? A mere 3.5 pages. Most films rely on detailed screenplays, but Cheech and Chong sketched out a loose idea, originally about landscapers hiding a marijuana operation. That morphed into a hilarious plot about selling weed from an ice cream truck topped with a giant clown face. Don't let the short script fool you. Their physical comedy was meticulously planned. Every pratfall, chase, and visual gag was storyboarded with precision, proving their chaotic on-screen energy was backed by careful craftsmanship. How did they make something so wild look so effortless? Beyond the laughs, Cheech and Chong built a financial empire that reflects their resilience and savvy. Tommy Chong's net worth is estimated at $20 million, while Cheech Marin sits at $30 million, totaling a combined $50 million, according to Celebrity Net Worth. Their wealth stems from comedy albums, films like Up in Smoke, which gross over $44 million on a shoestring budget, and savvy ventures like Cheech and Chong's Global, a cannabis company emphasizing safety and quality. Cheech's passion for Chicano art led to the Cheech Marin Center for Chicano Art, Culture, and Industry, a museum that's both a cultural landmark and a significant real estate asset. While details on their cars or watches are scarce, their wealth suggests access to luxury vehicles and possibly private jets for tours. Their business acumen shines through in brand collaborations, like their 2024 Call of Duty Warzone appearance, and insurance policies likely protect their health and assets. Their legacy is more than punchlines. It's a story of defying odds. From a chance meeting in a Vancouver club to becoming cultural icons, Cheech and Chong navigated fame, conflict, and reinvention with grit. Their 2024 documentary, Cheech and Chong's Last Movie, premiered at South by Southwest, blending animation and archival footage to celebrate their 5-decade journey that they voiced Disney characters, stepped into wrestling rings, and fought for cannabis legalization, proving their influence spans generations. But what's next for these trailblazers? From a chance meeting in a smoky Vancouver club to becoming the heartbeat of counterculture comedy, Cheech and Chong's journey is a wild ride of laughter, tension, and reinvention. Their story shows that even most unlikely partnerships can spark a cultural revolution, blending humor with heart through decades of highs and lows. What's your favorite Cheech and Chong moment? And what other legends do you want us to explore? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you love this deep dive, give a like and subscribe for more iconic stories.